in one of the books that I was reading. It's Hardwiring Happiness. I got it from Chris Williamson. He has a reading list. He has 2 reading lists. One is like 100 books that I recommend that you read, and then I think that was made like 8 years ago, so he made an updated one. And Hardwiring Happiness, he actually talked about it in the Hormozy podcast, and it's kind of like I guess the guy is like a neuro person. Yeah, I was gonna try add on a word at the end of it, and I was gonna be making it up, so I'll just leave it with neuro person.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah. That's how I wish everybody was. Why are you adding so many things to your name? Just give us the range of what you do. Neuro.
Yeah, he's like a neuro person, also like a psychology person. He was explaining like what's going on in your brain, like what's actually happening in there. And it's like exploring how to hardwire happiness into your brain. And I'm halfway through it, but that leads me on to another thought before I explore it even more.
Oh God.
I got a library card. So there's a guy, a friend of mine who listens to the podcast, shout out to Alton. He said to me before that you can get free ebooks and audiobooks and physical books if you're so inclined. If you sign up for a library membership, whatever your local library is.
Oh, literally the library.
Yeah, like an actual physical library.
My brain was like, what app is called the library? It must be an Apple thing.
Brother. Yeah.
The actual
library. So like Dunleary Ratdown Library. So you sign up, you can sign up online. You set up like an online membership, but you have to go to the physical library within the first month to like actually verify your account.
Yeah.
You need to bring ID, you need to bring proof of address, crazy shit. Man, I'm going to be so hyped when I get my library card. That's got to be fucking...
Did you have one when you were younger?
No. You had a library card when you were younger? Oh, man. Yeah, I missed out.
Oh, man, my God. I'm so happy that you're doing that.
Yeah, I was an uneducated youth, man.
So fun.
So I'm going to go there, set that up. That's going to be exciting. I'm going to feel like so grown and smart and intelligent. It's going to be me and the pensioners. Not yet. Okay. So I set it up online, and they give you like a temporary membership number, but you need to go in person to actually set it up. Important. And then it was talking about how if you've no fixed abode, so if you're homeless, you can explain that to the people and they'll still give you your library card. How sweet is that? So I'm going to go set up my actual library membership, but I have my temporary one. And then there is an app that you can download called BorrowBox. Again, shout out to Alton. He gave me all of this so that I can get the free books, because I was talking about how much I'm like into them. And you get this app, BorrowBox, which is essentially like the online version of the library. So you put in whatever your library is, and then you put your membership number into that, you put your PIN into it, and then you have access to the full library that they have. There's ebooks, there's audiobooks. Okay, this surprised me. I didn't know this was a thing. You still have to like loan the books. You still have to rent them or like borrow them. You don't have to pay for it. It's free to get, but you borrow it. So you borrow it, you're allowed to have access to it for a certain amount of time, and then you have to give it back. And I was like...
Even the audiobook?
Even the audiobook. And I was like, how does this work? This is the dumbest shit ever. But I looked it up, and basically they were explaining that the library can buy a certain amount of licenses for an ebook and an audiobook as if it's a physical book. So they can only loan out a certain amount at a time as if it's the physical item. So if they only have 3 licenses for like Alex Hormozy book or Hardwiring Happiness, if one person is renting it, you get to like loan it for or borrow it for 3 weeks. If one person is loaning it, it's like you can get this on the 12th of August. Wow. And you're like, oh my God, so I have to wait for some cunt. Because imagine you go to the library like back in the day. If someone has the book, you don't have access to the book, like you're cooked. So it's funny. I couldn't believe that. I was like, come on, they have the file. Just give the file to everyone. But then they're explaining that like the book people would just not make any money. It would just completely destroy.
They have to make some money.
It would destroy the book market if they just had unlimited supplies. Everyone would go to the library. But then I was like, why is everyone not just going to the library anyway? This is free. It's all free. But
how does the library make money?
I don't know. Are they like state funded or something? Probably. It's like a council thing. It's a Dunleary Ratdown fucking constituency or whatever. So anyway, man, I'm on my library buzz. Me and the pensioners are going to be cooking, man. I'm going to be in there rizzing up the pensioners, and they're going to be reading their books. I'm going to be reading mine. I'm going to be telling them about Hardwiring Happiness. It's going to be amazing.
You're going to be hardwired.
Soft-wired.
Yeah, teach me how to hardwire, bro.
So yeah, that's just, to me, that's just exciting and that's cool. And if anyone else wants free ebooks and audiobooks, go to the library, set up your library membership, get BorrowBox, and it's all there. But then I was having a dilemma, like a moral dilemma. No, it's not a moral dilemma at all, but it's a dilemma of, I kind of like having ownership of the book. So I've been buying more physical books. So at the moment, I'm having a bit of a system where I listen to an audiobook when I'm like preparing my meals, eating my meals, driving in the car. But then I'll read a physical book at night to wind down, like before I go to bed. So to try reduce screen time and stuff. Man, I feel like, do you know, you hear all these like general recommendations of like turn screens off at this time that no one does. Bro, I'm doing all that shit now. I'm living by the book. I feel
literally.
It's crazy. I'm like, it's a whole new world. So yeah, I'm reading a physical book at night, and I like the contrast of two of those, and it's double the efficiency because now I'm getting 2 books in at the one time.
You're always good at that.
Oh my. That was, how did you? Yeah, all right, whatever. So I like actually having ownership of the book. So now I'm like torn between which ones. I don't know. I like, when I'm reading, I like highlighting in the book, which I didn't know how I felt about at first because I was like, I don't want to destroy the book. But I find it makes me way more engaged. And I'm like, this is going to sound stupid, but I'm getting better at reading. Like I would find myself getting way too easily distracted reading before. Like I'd read a line, like we were talking about, you were reading with your eyes, but not your brain. I would find that would always happen, and I'd be thinking about something else. I find it way easier to be engaged with a book over a longer period now. So I find
just through practice.
Yeah, I guess through exposure, and then through actively like reading it and highlighting. Do you know when you're in school and they tell you like to highlight the chapters as you're going through with the relevant information? Never did that. I would never do homework. I would never do, which is funny now that I'm like spending so much of my, I would say the majority of my like expenditure in my life at the moment is on like educational resources and books and courses and things of that nature, which is funny because in school, I was always really good in school. I don't know why, I just had like a good rote memory, but there was a lot of subjects that I just wasn't engaged in and I wouldn't do the work and you could cram it and whatever. But now I'm like actively seeking information in things that are interesting to me. And I have the lifestyle and the resources to be able to do that, which is nice.
Why do you think that's come about?
I think it's because I have autonomy over what I want to learn. We had a discussion about this before in terms of the nutrition course that I was doing. There were certain chapters that I was learning about that I was like, I don't feel like this is going to be particularly applicable to me or useful in the field that I'm in or the context that I want to use it. So I can kind of skim through it because it's a self-learning process and it's me deciding what is important or what I want to be seeking out and learning. I have like a bit of a problem with, I don't know the right way to word it, like the thing that came to mind is like authority figures or like people who have control over me or people dictating what it is that I have to do. I don't know why I have quite a strong like resistance to that. So if it's in school and I have to learn a certain topic or a chapter that I don't like or I don't want to learn, I find it really hard to engage with it or to like force myself to do the work. Whereas now, since it's like a self-learning process, I can disregard that and I can double down on the things that I am seeking to learn. And obviously there's going to be things that you're not really that interested in that would still be beneficial for you to put the time in to learn it and to expand your competency in that realm, whatever. But I think the knowledge that I'm in control of the learning process and the direction, that is probably the most significant thing. That I just feel like I have autonomy and control rather than someone else is forcing me to do it. Because whenever, it's kind of like if your parents like tell you to unload the dishwasher, even if you're planning to do it anyway, it's like, yeah, well I was gonna, but now that you told me to, I'm not fucking gonna. Like if I feel like I'm forced to do something, I just have this like really strong resistance to it. I don't know why. I don't know if everyone has that. I don't know if that's like a normal thing. I think to a certain degree it is. Like humans in general want to have autonomy, but yeah, I think that's a large degree of it is just wanting to be in control of it myself rather than someone else dictating to me that I have to learn something. If I ever feel like I have to do something, I just have like this reaction.
Do you often feel like you have to do things?
Not anymore. I feel like I've been quite good at structuring my life in ways that don't put me in those situations. A lot of the jobs that I've had,
and by have to, obviously, under the preface of someone else deciding that you have to.
I feel like I've structured my lifestyle, like working for myself. I guess you could say like I have to fulfill like my coaching responsibilities, but I want to fulfill those.
That.
Yeah, I want to fulfill those. Yeah. Whereas, say before when I was in-person personal training, I really enjoyed it, but I had a boss who dictated my hours. He would just text me and say, "There's a new 5:30 client that has signed up that you have to be here at 5:30," and I'm like, I have no say in this matter. He controls my hours. He controls the income. I have no autonomy in this, and that really bothered me. And I was like, I enjoy the work, so it shouldn't really bother me. But it's the fact that someone else has control over my life that does bother me. I just don't do well working under other people, and this is where it gets like really weird, and it's not like a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing. But even working with like coaches, if I had a coach that I was working with who was particularly like, what's the right word? I was going to say like domineering or like forceful with their views, or like you have to do this, or like if there was any way that like impression given to me that this person has like control over my training and what it is that I have to do, I would have like resistance to the coach. And I'm like, I'm paying you to tell me what to do, but when you tell me what to do, I don't like it. So that's why I got on so well with Joey, because Joey was a coach that would like encourage as much autonomy as possible. That like, I want to give you the framework that you can work within and figure some stuff out for yourself. And I'm here as a resource that you can come to me if there's something that you're stuck on or you want extra help with or whatever. But I'm not going to like force you to do anything. I'm not going to push you or like kind of my way or the highway type deal, which I have seen in other coaching dynamics or been in myself that I didn't like and I had a lot of resistance to. So I always found that a weird one where it's like, I'm paying you to tell me what to do, but I don't like when you tell me what to do. And I do like when you encourage autonomy and allow me to feel as though I'm in control while you still help and guide me in steering the ship in the most productive direction, which is quite nuanced and tactical. But that's the way then that I have kind of shaped my own coaching philosophy then, where I try to give lifters as much autonomy, kind of like give a man a fish versus teach a man to fish, that whole concept or idea. I try to encourage as much autonomy as possible, but then I also can appreciate that there are certain people, or maybe just certain instances for certain people, where they do like someone to take the reins a little bit more. But then I also have this kind of belief in the back of my mind that most people don't really want that. They do want the control and do want the autonomy. It's maybe just in specific situations that they would like you to be more hands-on and take the reins and just tell them what to do. It's an interesting one to explore, and it's very nuanced and
it is interesting to listen to.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm just a fucking rebel, but I just don't like being told what to do. Do you get that at all, or can you resonate with that? Or
I'm feeling it. I think when I feel as though, and you're probably right. I think it's like a very natural thing when you feel as though you're being forced to do something against what you want to do. There's a natural resistance to it. Then maybe just coming up as in different feeling situations to you where it didn't feel as though my autonomy was being threatened by. They almost feel like requests to me. It's like, this isn't contrasting yours. It's more how I understand it. For me, is like, say my parents always made sure that I knew that no one was ever going to make me do anything. That like it was always on you. And if you ever feel like, I think it was protection against weird adults, probably. Kind of like, if an adult tells you to do anything that you don't feel comfortable doing, like, don't. Whereas I think a lot of kids on the flip are like, in order for the kids to behave at home,
do what you're told.
And then it forms this weird like, well, I fucking hate doing what I'm told. Where
it's always something bad. It's always something I don't want to do.
Shit, of course. Because
I don't want to do.
And then, at least for me, is then like, I got to be okay with some of the things that were requested of me.
Yeah.
And it feels like a request of me rather than a forcing to do.
A little bit more of a mutual relationship.
Yeah, and then maybe before long it became, in school, obviously I was fortunate that I was okay doing the work. Like, it didn't piss me off that bad. But it's like, it was up to me. They weren't actually forcing me to do anything. It was, you do have this exam, you can do shit in it if you want to.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I don't want to, so I'm going to do. Now, obviously, those parameters are, you could bend it into those parameters are forced upon you that you have the exam, whatever. But maybe that framework was my perception from a young age. I think what you've done is set up your life so that you are only being requested of things. So it does align with how I understand it. I guess just felt different earlier for me, but I completely understand.
Yeah, it is a very interesting one to explore.
I like watching some people talk about their parenting experience with kids online. I quite like that content.
From a parent's perspective or a child's perspective?
Parents' perspective, and from their perspective of being a child from when they're younger. And it aligns a lot with like my parents when they talk about it, and it's giving a lot, like trying to give as much autonomy to the child and ensuring that, like kind of asking them questions. I remember something so silly in the grand scheme of things, but my mom somehow understood this from when we were very young, and when we'd get up, she'd like pre-pick, say like 3 outfits, but she'd be like, what do you want to wear? And it's like, it's like, obviously a kid can't just wear a diaper around all the time, you know what I mean? Or like a t-shirt with nothing else, Winnie the Pooh, like, but so they chose the parameters, but at least she showed that it's up to you. But then you still
had autonomy in making that decision.
Providing
the framework, steering the broad direction, but still giving you enough control for what you can handle in that. It's like an appropriate level of decision making, because you obviously can't give a child full autonomy of everything. Like, what do you want for dinner? Fucking pizza and ice cream and fucking jellies and whatever.
And similarly, like, why would an athlete pay for coaching if it was like, what do you want to do?
Just completely open-ended.
It's more like, here's what I believe will work, because there's obviously always going to be an understanding that there's people with more wisdom in a certain topic, or even equal wisdom, or rather than comparing, just like a supporting role. And then if you're asking for parameters, then they can provide, and then you can like funnel your focus.
I like that. I feel like we
we're
touching on a
that's interesting, isn't it?
Damn. So to circle back to the initial book I was referencing, Hardwiring Happiness, about figuring out what is actually going on up there and blah, blah, blah. He was talking about how humans, we have like an inherent negativity bias. I don't know how true this is, but inherently, like, we look for danger in situations and whatnot.
We're only talking about this.
Go on. So an inherent search for danger. It's kind of, say, referring to, let's say, like a rabbit or a hare. They have this inherent response that when they hear rustling or there's something that they're unsure of, they're going to bolt. Because even if it's like a false positive and it's not something that is trying to attack them, even if they run away, they have like 100% success rate of surviving. Whereas if they have a false reaction and they don't run away and it is a fox, then you're dead and you're not surviving. So there is this inherent bias towards survival. And he was talking about how, say, the human brain is evolved for survival, not evolved for happiness. And that, like, insight there, fascinating to me. That was really interesting, because that then implies that happiness is like a active, conscious decision. It's not something that is like inherent to our existence. It's not something that is going to be like our natural state of being. It's kind of something that involves some level of work to achieve that, if you want to hardwire your brain to operate in that manner consistently. We are hardwired for survival, not hardwired to be happy all the time. So then he was talking about a few kind of different ideas, and another one that stuck out to me, I love, and I've created a bit of a system here with ChatGPT. I created like a prompt for it that is going to be very useful for me going forward in terms of creating content, or even just opening up discussions in the podcast, or just for my own understanding in life. A prompt around, this is the book that I'm reading. Give me a comprehensive breakdown of the main ideas that were expressed, and give me the most comprehensive list that you can of the specific like quotes, like actionable quotes that like will resonate and whatever. Give me a full list of the quotes from this book, like the pithy sort of lines. And then from that, with each book that I read, I'm going to create a section in my notes app of whatever the title of the book, and then the pithy little ideas. And if I ever need to refer back to them, as opposed to just thinking, oh yeah, there was this book and I screen recorded a few things, let me go back through my camera roll and try find the video that I screen recorded, the thing from an audiobook. I can have the notes section of the main things that I can refer back to. Again, as we talked about, like the importance of repetition and being exposed to ideas over and over, not just listen to it one time and think that it's going to be ingrained in your brain forever. So I have this prompt of, I'm reading Hardwiring Happiness. Give me the comprehensive breakdown of all the like necessary ideas or the most actionable ideas or whatever. And then I can create my like hit list or the important takeaways from a given book. So another one, and this was just like a good analogy that I liked, or a good frame for me, was that your brain is like Velcro for negative experiences. So they seem to like stick and stand out if you kind of, I'm sure we can all relate, well, maybe not this specific situation, but if you made a post online and there was 20 lovely comments and there was one bad one, that bad one seems to stick in our mind more in general for most people rather than the 20 good ones. So our brain is like Velcro for these negative experiences. They seem to hold more weight or take up more space in our mind, oftentimes, for a lot of people. And then it's like Teflon for good experiences. So we have like a just general nice thing that we experience throughout the day, but it's like that anti-stick material that you have in your frying pan, where it just doesn't land the same way that negative experiences seem to do, or it doesn't stick around the same way. So most people are living in this world where the vast majority of their thoughts are being consumed by these negative things that they've gone through. That's the stuff that lingers. That's the stuff that takes up the majority of their energy and headspace. So he's talking about then, and you can expand on this and if I can tell me if it's waffle or whatever, but he was talking about you can start to like rewire the way that your brain operates essentially. And through the process of focusing more attention on these positive experiences and like actively giving more of your focus, giving more of your time, giving more of your energy and effort to focusing on these, you can begin to rewire essentially how your brain works and what it begins to notice more and give more energy to. And it was something along the lines of like the little pithy quote was neurons that fire together, wire together. Yeah, that's the one. So if you are spending more time practicing gratitude or looking for positive experiences, spending time with those positive experiences, you will begin to have that resonate more with your character, and then that will start to begin to be more of your default setting and default outlook. So that very interesting idea, and we talked about this in the last episode of going back to practicing gratitude, like trying to force yourself to do that, trying to nitpick all the positive things, trying to force yourself to give attention and energy to that. And then he talks about this, what's that thing where it's like the beginning letters of a word.
Acronym?
Acronym of HEAL. So HEAL. And H, and this is what Chris Williamson was talking in the podcast with Tormozy, of have a positive experience. That's just the first part. You just have an experience. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be us having this positive experience right now. Just being with your friend, getting to chat, getting to do something that you enjoy. E is enriching that experience. So just actively and consciously spending time to sit with it for 10, 15 seconds. So you just acknowledge, like in your brain, you think, wow, what a lovely experience right now. It's so nice that I get to spend time with my friend. Just sit with it, feel it, instead of it goes and then it's like a sieve that just like goes through your brain and you don't acknowledge it. Because you're saying most positive experiences in our life on a scale of intensity are like a 2 or a 3. It's not this like overwhelming you win the lottery. But they still count. They're still positive experiences. And then you add up those little positive experiences and that leads to an overwhelmingly positive day. All these little moments that were positive, that adds up. But if you let them all just drift through your head and don't acknowledge them or don't take a little bit of time to sit with it, then it doesn't resonate. So H, have the positive experience, enrich it, just sit with it for a little bit longer. A, absorb it. So imagine that it is like sinking into your body. Imagine it is hardwiring into your brain that how grateful you are to get to experience these things in life, all these positive environments and experiences that you have. And then the L is to link it with a negative experience. Not at that stage of the book yet, so I don't know what he means by that. But he said that's like an optional part of it, of I guess it's beginning to associate with some like negative experience that it overpowers it or like washes over it, or minimizes the negative experience, because whenever you have that negative experience, then you can steer yourself in the direction of focusing on whatever the positive silver lining is, something along those lines, I guess. Yeah, found that very interesting.
Nice. Let me know when you read it.
Yeah, I will.
Let me know. Yeah, nice, man. I love that. I love that. Feels like the example I like most with that kind of thing is that you'll always notice like what's not in the fridge, but you never notice when the fridge is full, but you notice when the fridge is empty and stuff like that. It's like that's like a general relationship thing, because someone filled the fridge and they're probably not getting thanked for it or whatever. And then they get given out to and there's something missing. I lost the other one, so
and it comes back.
I got it. There's I can't remember the exact ratio. I'll look it up and find out in the next pod. There is a ratio of positive to negative experiences under which like a romantic relationship can exist healthily under. And it predicts breakups, but also predicts just like, say, unhappy marriages if you don't leave or whatever, or don't fix it. And there's a distinct ratio. It's something like 5 to 1.
Damn. So 5 positive experiences to 1 negative.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I didn't do the study, and it's a couple of years since I read anything to do with it. It was just like part of another like social module that I was doing, but just I remember it registering well. So I assume it's something to do with because maybe you only see them for an hour, the respective partner, and so there might not be 5 in quantity, but there needs to like the magnitude needs to be 5 to 1 even, or the quantity, or you know the frequency, everything. Just think of 5 to 1. It could be 4, it could be 6, whatever, something like that. So
interesting.
If you're ever thinking about it,
damn. And then you can again, a lot of the positive experiences are going to be a 2 or 3. They're not going to be something that's that overwhelming.
But if you don't acknowledge them, it feels like the one it's the opposite.
It's the one that's overwhelming.
When it's not. Because you're taking for granted that the fridge is full.
Oh, or another one, and this, it always kind of sounds silly when you talk about it, but like say when you have a blocked nose, you take for granted all the times you didn't have a blocked
360 days you didn't.
You take for granted all the time you didn't have a blocked nose. Imagine you could wake up every day being grateful for being able to breathe, for not having a blocked nose. Like imagine you actually felt that gratitude. Imagine you actually felt happy for having your health. Or what's that other quote that a healthy person has 100 wishes and then an unhealthy person has 1 wish. That idea.
That's crazy. Or I've seen similar. I don't know if it was a basketball player saying it. Obviously resonates with us, and it's like there are so many people who would wish to be able to have the bad day of training that you'd have. Because they can't. They don't have a leg, or they don't have a.
I had that this morning. My eye was really itchy from hay fever. And I was like, oh my God, this is so like fucked. This is fucked. And then I was like, hardwiring happiness. I was like, damn, you know what? I'm grateful that 99.9% of my life, I don't have this situation. So even though I'm in the shit right now, I'm glad that the rest of my life I'm not normally experiencing this.
I fucking can imagine you like actually clawing at your eye.
I was at the sink. I was trying to like, I'd taken an antihistamine and I was just waiting for it to kick in. And I was like literally like scooping water into my eye as I was having my breakfast. And then I was like, if this doesn't go away when I'm on the podcast, I was like, I might have to cancel the podcast. I was like, I'm fucked.
Like a dog. It's fucking hilarious. It's amazing. It's amazing.
So anyway, hardwiring happiness. Even amidst the shit, I was like, you know what? I'm grateful that I normally don't experience this.
We said this ages ago on the podcast. And you did it. Actually, no, I think it was both of us, but we were acknowledging that if you're constantly consuming negative shit, social media content, you start to then feel negative, and the way you perceive other things, you're like automatically critical and looking for negative. This isn't a dig at you. This came up, not this. The critiquing things came up in our conversation recently, and it's just we're observing why in certain conversations one or both people will lean towards like a critical stance of something. Anyway, but more specifically, when you're constantly consuming shit, that's not even. It feels like when you go through some posts, the comments are either all supportive or all this is dookie. And I think if you're constantly like, not chronically online, because I think everybody's online crazy amounts, But when you're consuming all that stuff and you're seeing so many people just hate on shit all the time, or every post is dogging on someone or twisting someone's words, or you know, all this shit, focusing on, or just focusing on real negative stuff, then it's like everything's shit. You know, the ratio's 100 to 0. Just got to create it the other way around.
They talked about that in the book as well, where I love the analogy or idea of your mind as like a garden, and the stuff that you're putting into it is the seeds that you're planting of the garden that you're going to grow. But then double down on that again with the negativity bias and being Velcro for negative shit and Teflon for positive experiences. That your mind is like a garden that has a load of fertilizer for weeds, but doesn't have that fertilizer for nice flowers. You have to actively go in there and put in that fertilizer for the nice flowers, and you have to actively go in there and put in those positive seeds and foster that yourself. And then another thing that I was listening to, it's not really a book, it's the Zig Ziglar thing, where he was talking about how he condemns like watching TV so much. Because it's funny, because this is from like the 80s or the 90s or whatever it is, but he was talking about how this is why he like so strongly condemns TV, because people could watch 2-3 hours of TV, and if you just spent like 30 minutes reading a book, he's like, you would get more valuable information in 30 minutes of reading a book than you'll get from a month of watching TV. And I was like, that's even more relevant now as it relates to scrolling, because you got a whole TV in your pocket. So you could watch TV before when you were sitting on the couch
anywhere
at the end of the evening. Now you're walking somewhere. Like, this used to fuck me up all the time. I'd be walking upstairs to get something. Why would I walk 15 seconds up the stairs without not scrolling when I could walk 15 seconds up the stairs scrolling? I could fill that time in my life by consuming some nonsense information. So whenever you're doing anything in your life, you have the access to scrolling and distraction. And that's probably the way that I'd describe it best, is just distraction. It's like preventing your mind from doing anything else positive. It's just filling it with nonsense. So yeah, I've found that like super interesting, that it's even more relevant today than it was then. And if you can put those positive influences in your fucking mind, consuming a book, like create the framework or the lifestyle where you do listen to audiobooks or you do read a physical book, how much better off you'll probably be in the long run, as opposed to spending all those hours, having all those hours taken away from your life by nonsense. When you scroll for an hour, could you even tell me one post that you watched? Probably not.
Probably a negative one.
Yeah. And I just wish there was like I wish there was a way to like implant that feeling, because for ages, and this is going to lead on to another book that I have, but for ages I was like, I don't like this scrolling, it makes me feel bad, I want to stop it, but I'm like, I feel almost like addicted to scrolling. It feels like I actually don't even have the control of my own body. Like when I first stopped using the apps, I would find like myself actually like subconsciously opening up and going to click on the place where the app is. And I was like, I don't even want to do this. It's like my brain just did it automatically. I'm like a robot. Like the app is controlling me rather than me controlling myself. I've fucking completely lost my train of thought there. Oh, it was about, it's funny how that happens and then it comes back to you. But nice. It was for ages that I was like, I want to stop this behavior, but I just don't know how. And I feel like a lot of people are probably in that place. Came across this book, and again, this is why I love books, because they just lead you on little pathways, or they lead little threads of one person that you like hearing from, or one idea or topic or concept, and then it gives you the reference for where they got their information from, and you keep pulling that thread and you just get this wealth of knowledge on a given topic. So it is from a few PhD fellas, and they're in their psych fucking neuro space. And it is, I think it's called Changing for Good. Okay. And it's like a 6-step framework for the change process. Like the process of behavioral change. How people change, why people change. It seems like very, almost like broad or airy-fairy, but it's something that I'm really interested in from like a coaching perspective. Like that's what a lot of nutrition and lifestyle coaching is. It's just purely behavior change, psychology, all that kind of stuff. So I was like, damn, this is going to be an insightful book, because I heard a reference from something that I thought was really good, and they were kind of leading the trail to this idea. let me get this book, physical book. Couldn't get it on Audible. I was like, you know what? Let me pay €15, whatever it is, to get the book delivered. I think it's going to be a good one. Very, very, very insightful. So they were talking in the book, the difference between like a psychiatrist, psychologist, a fucking therapist, counselor, the difference between all of those. Psychiatrist, medication, they give medication, and then the therapist, psychologist, they talk. Yeah. Okay. So they were people who were involved in behavior change and counseling and addiction counseling and whatnot. But they were fascinated by self-changers, like people who stopped smoking by themselves, or people who overcame like alcohol addiction by themselves, and why there was like an equivalent rate of success, or like even a much broader amount of like total success from people who were self-changing than people who were engaged in therapy. Now, obviously, a lot of people can still change in therapy, but he was talking about how it's like a well-known and well-accepted thing among therapists of like maybe only 15% of people who come to therapy will change successfully. And it's kind of just an accepted churn rate of like, that's the process. These people aren't ready to change. You can't necessarily help them if they don't want to be helped. That kind of idea at the time. And they're like, this just can't be the case. Like, we can't just accept that some people are not ready to change. Like, there needs to be something more. So they did all these like kind of meta-analyses. What's it called when you do, it was called like a trans something model. A trans model.
Yeah,
I was reading about trans models. It's my favorite book.
2 books at one time.
Double whammy. Anyway, fucking a trans theoretical model or something like that. Basically taking from a broad range of studies and then kind of formulating it into one idea.
Cool.
So they were looking at all these different studies done on therapists themselves, therapists who were going throughout their own change process. So say therapists who smokes, how they stop smoking themselves, how they help other people stop smoking, from people who had tried to change, people who were successful, people who were not successful, people in therapy who were changing, self-changers, blah, 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 like from all these different resources, and started to compile this framework that they have. And the 6-step framework, this has been like revolutionary for me in my like understanding of behavior change. There's like 6 steps that you must go through, and you may be at a given step, you may have skipped some of the steps, you may never have been in that state, but the likelihood is you will go through all of these 6 steps. It's necessary to go through all the 6 steps. The first one is pre-contemplation. So this is before you're even considering changing. And to be honest, you're like actively resistant to the idea of changing. So it's like a smoker who doesn't want to give up smoking. They have no interest. And they were saying how this is a lot of people who are like pushed into therapy. Someone who has a problem with alcohol and their family members give them these ultimatums of like, you have to go fix this problem or I'm leaving you, the relationship is over, blah, 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 like those kind of things. So they're people who don't want to change, but they're like forced or coerced into the change process. And in general, they last maybe 1 or 2 sessions in therapy and then stop and then give up and say, see, like I wasn't, whatever, it doesn't work.
Therapy sucks.
So pre-contemplation, that's the first stage where people are actively resistant to change. They're in denial of the risks of the problem. So I don't have a drinking problem. Smoking isn't going to be that harmful. The jury is still out on whether smoking is harmful. Stuff that is like not true, but they're in denial of it. Then the next stage is moving from pre-contemplation to contemplation. So you are aware that you might want to make a change, but it's in the distant future. So it's like in the next 6 months, I might consider changing. You're warming up to the idea of making change, but it's not going to be actionable anytime soon. And there's still a significant amount of ambivalence in terms of like the pros and cons of changing. Like you still feel the draw of the comfort of whatever the behavior is, whether it is drinking, whether it is smoking, whether it's whatever, but you are more warmed up to the idea. You're not completely closed off to it. The next stage is preparation, where you are committed mentally to the idea of changing. You know you're going to change, and it's starting to move in the direction of, okay, maybe in the next month, I'm going to start changing, and this is how I'm going to go about it. So laying out a bit of a framework for the strategy that you may take of, okay, I'd say on this date, I'm going to try stop smoking, I'm going to get nicotine patches, I'm going to get whatever, I'm going to counteract it in this way. Then the next stage is action. And they were talking about how most people confuse the behavior change process with just this one section of it, because this is the actionable stage where you can see it.
Yeah.
You can see someone actively not smoking, actively using a nicotine patch, actively not drinking anymore, and how this is like what the full like kind of like realm of behavior change coaching or therapy or counseling was focusing on before, just this one step of it. Although it was saying how at a given time in a given problem area, the like percentage of the population which are ready for action is probably like 15-20%.
And that's why that outcome is
it doesn't work, because it could be someone in pre-contemplation and you're trying to force them into action too
when
early.
they're like 2 steps.
When they haven't done the mental work to be prepared to do that change, prepared to put that into action yet. So the action stage, this is like the most tangible one. This is where there's the most like active work being done. Then beyond that, when you are in the maintenance stage of where you have, say, like overcome whatever the issue is, it's been like 6 months and you are like just actively maintaining the new lifestyle that you've created, the one where you don't smoke anymore, the one where you don't drink, the one where you don't go to those places where you would have drank or associate with the people that you would have drank with or done drugs with or whatever it is. The maintenance stage, and then there's termination at the end of it, where say it's been a number of years and you just no longer get the compulsion to engage in the problem behavior at all. And then it was debating, there's certain situations and there's certain problems where the jury is still out of is termination even possible. Like say with drinking, there's people who have gone 10 years with no drinking, but then they get put in a specific environment, a spouse passes away, something of that nature, and then they relapse entirely and they go back into it. So there's some where it's believed that it's like a constant maintenance, like Alcoholics Anonymous talk about how like you're never a recovered alcoholic, you're always a recovering alcoholic.
Or even like just like someone is an alcoholic whether or not they drink anymore. So
that whole idea, whereas then there's some where you can reach termination, where some people report that they literally have no inclination to engage in the behavior regardless of what happens in their life. It could be smoking, it could be whatever. But then there's some people who say like 10 years on they're still getting the craving or they're still whatever. So termination is not necessarily possible for everyone, but it's that active period of like maintenance and just staving off the behavior as best you can. So fascinating to recognize then, because say even in my own family could recognize say with like smoking or something like that, the stages that people were in at a given time in their life or attempts to do something. It was like, oh, this is like a whole, it's like again we talked about with the rock climbing, when you're a complete beginner you just look at the wall and it's just a load of plastic holes and it doesn't make sense. The more experience you get, you start to see patterns and shapes and you get an understanding of the situation of like retrospectively looking back and thinking like, oh my God, or previous clients that you're coaching through nutrition or whatever, you can start to understand and put them into the different stages or brackets and know how to move throughout those stages. So that's the next thing of, like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. It's now kind of countering that idea a little bit, because you don't need to make them drink, but you can start making them consider drinking. Then
just drinking the water specifically in this case. You can make them consider drinking. You're absolutely right.
You can move and then that was another big idea from the book of moving from pre-contemplation to contemplation.
Probably the hardest part.
And it's equally as successful as moving from action to maintenance. Like that's as valuable and critical a step in the process as the action stage. But so many people over-index on this action part of it as being the core of the behavior change. But it's, if you have moved from pre-contemplation to contemplation, you are successful.
You've made a huge...
Exactly. And then going from contemplation to preparation and then into action, and each step is successful, and being able to guide yourself through that, or from a coach's perspective, guide other people through that. And then it explores the techniques that are relevant in the different stages. So in pre-contemplation, one of the biggest things is just raising awareness. So trying to raise more awareness around the problem behavior. So it is largely just asking questions around the problem behavior. So if someone believes that their alcohol consumption isn't problematic, you would just, instead of telling the person you need to stop drinking, it would be asking them questions around their drinking. Like what is it fulfilling for them? Because it might be a social outlet, it could be a stress relief, it could be a whatever. You just begin to get them to reflect on, is this behavior problematic? What effect is it having on the people around me? What effect is it having on my own health? And then through that, you then move into the contemplation. And then here, there's still equal levels of ambivalence. They're more warmed up to the idea of changing, but it's that raising awareness of trying to like increase the amount of pros that you see and
promote
decrease
change talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was a really fascinating one. He said he was looking, the main guy who wrote the book, he was looking at a series of data, and it was around people who had changed, and they'd categorized them into the different levels of change, and they were self-rating their perception of the pros and cons at a given level of change. And he was saying from pre-contemplation to action, the T-score, is it called a T-score? Yeah. Just in data. The T-score of the perception of the pros had to increase 10 points to get them to go to action. And the T-score of the cons was reduced by 5 points.
Okay.
So you had to perceive the pros as twice as beneficial as you initially did, and perceive the cons as half the amount that they initially were. And then it was put into like standard deviations. So you need to increase the level that you see the pros by 1 standard deviation, and then decrease it by 0.5 standard deviations to get yourself to move successfully from pre-contemplation to action. And if you haven't done that,
walk me through. So the pros
of changing the behavior,
of changing, and the cons
need
of
to be
changing.
Yeah. So
and then vice versa, the cons of not changing need to be big, and the pros of changing. Yeah, absolutely.
So how that may look is, for someone who's in pre-contemplation, the cons of changing are going to be that it's like so difficult, and they're going to lose out on the social environment that they're in. They're going to lose out on the stress relief that they get. They're going to lose out on their identity that enjoys doing it, so on and so forth. And then the pros are what? That my wife is going to be happier. She's going to stop nagging me. Yeah. That's what you might see in pre-contemplation. Then through the process of raising awareness around the problem issue and the effect that it has on you, you start to realize, okay, if the relationship with my wife improved, that would be so overwhelmingly significant for the quality of my life. Yeah. It's going to be better for my health. I've now realized all the illnesses that come along with consistent like alcohol abuse or consistent like smoking. Yeah. And then the cons of, okay, I'm going to have to stop associating with my drinking buddies. Not really that significant, because the lifestyle that they're promoting is harmful for me. Yeah. So that is something that I can accept. That's not going to be that big of a deal. So you've reduced the level of severity of what the cons seem like in your head, and increased the amount that the pros seem like in your head. So that was a really interesting frame as well. You have to essentially move 1 standard deviation of how intensely you view the pros or the positive impacts of changing the behavior, and then decrease the negative perception of what would be bad about changing. So that was very fascinating. So it's still to move from that contemplation stage to the action stage, and like through the preparation stage, is that awareness raising process of scaling up how you view the pros, scaling down how you view the cons. Then the action stage, 2 of the most useful tools or techniques are countering. So the replacement of the negative behavior with a positive behavior. Okay. So removing smoking with exercise, something like that, or drinking with exercise, things of that nature. Trying to find some sort of positive stimulus that you can replace the negative stimulus with. That kind of displacement theory. Yeah. And then counter thinking. So just like when you find yourself slipping into those negative thought processes, trying to counter that with something more optimistic, reminding yourself of all the pros, yada, yada. And then environmental control, how necessary that is. So if you are someone who is trying to change your relationship with alcohol consumption, if you continue going to bars and pubs, you're setting yourself up for failure. If you're still associating with the people who party and do drugs, if you're trying to stop doing coke or fucking whatever, you're setting yourself up for failure. If you're trying to stop smoking, but your significant other still smokes, and they're leaving all the like cigarettes and stuff around the house, you're setting yourself up for failure.
You're trying to eat less, and you have all these crisps and
stuff in the fridge
and stuff in the house.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up for failure. So the significance of environmental control. There was another one, I can't remember, I think it was called like social liberation or something. Okay. But it was as society as a whole moves in a direction to provide you outlets to make the positive behaviors more easy to stick to. So like no smoking areas on a plane, they're kind of social things or societal things that are there to assist you in changing your behavior. And then helping relationships. So having the people who are nearest and dearest to you, like understanding and giving you support and sympathy. And then I can't remember how they framed it, but it was essentially like positive reinforcement. So giving yourself like rewards for
7 days.
Adhering to whatever the behavior is, or doubling down the helping relationships and rewards of just the people around you giving you praise or compliments for sticking to whatever the behavior that you wanted, but very clearly explaining to the people around you that you are trying to undertake this change and asking for their support and telling them how they can support you throughout the change. Because again, if you're trying to make some sort of dietary change and your significant other is bringing home crisps and chocolate and whatever, they're not helping or supporting your goal. So being on the same thing could be the case that they still buy those, but they hide them, or they don't have them openly in the press, or they have a little stash somewhere where it's not going to be something that is tempting you or swaying your like willpower to follow through with this task. And then there was another thing that they talked about, willpower, which is really interesting, around when people have this idea of willpower around behavior change that is kind of inaccurate. And a lot of self-changers, when they were interviewed initially of how they made the change, they referenced willpower and they said it was just willpower. And then they asked, what does that mean? Like, what is willpower to you? And they kind of broke it down into two sections. One was that willpower was just the kind of self-efficacy and belief that I can enact my will to change this behavior. So I believe that I can do this. So that was one frame of it. And then the second frame, where it was most commonly used, was just a summary of all the different techniques that I mentioned being pushed into one and calling that willpower. So the environmental control that you had, the helping relationships that you had, the countering that you had, calling that willpower when it's not. There are specific techniques that are useful at different periods of the change process. And if you are trying to, say, use countering in the beginning stage when you're in pre-contemplation, it's not the right technique. It's not going to work. So it's not effective. So if you're using willpower, which is just what you use as an umbrella or blanket term for all these specific techniques, in the wrong stage, you're likely to fail. But then you've set yourself up for failure double time because you told yourself you just didn't have enough willpower. Instead of acknowledging the specific stage that you're in, the specific techniques that you can help to assist in the stage that you're in, and how to actually set yourself up for success. And then that damages your self-efficacy because you told yourself, I don't have enough willpower, I just can't do it, I suck, I'm shit. When
no, you can't do it.
You actually just used an inappropriate technique at an inappropriate time. Fucking fascinating.
Awesome,
Fascinating.
Really like that breakdown,
Crazy. It was so insightful for myself in how I view behavior change and how I can, as a coach, effectively guide people through the steps of that process.
I think that last point people can actually take from is like, if you feel like you can't enact your power on something, it's because you're probably acting in a way that isn't congruent with the stage of change you're at. Like most people say in this path, they're in the pre-contemplation or contemplation is one or the other. But let's say if you're in pre-contemplation, it's like, it's probably good, but you don't care enough to do it. You just forcing yourself to do it isn't going to work, so you don't care.
You're not at that stage. You haven't done the groundwork. And they said that. They were like, people who try to take action too early inevitably set themselves up for failure. If you haven't done the necessary like contemplation and preparation, if you haven't done those two stages, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're not there. You're not at that stage.
It's like people think they can outwill the ratio of pros to cons in their head and like the schema they have for smoking or whatever it is that the behavior they're trying to change. And it's like, then the people who have really good willpower were able to. It's like, no, they were probably just in contemplation already and they did something that lined up with contemplation better.
And then it makes so much more sense where it's like, if you fully believe in your head that this is going to be more beneficial for you than harmful, obviously you're going to follow through in it. And if you fully believe in your head that you want to do this more than you want to give it up, then you're not going to follow through with it. And it's just like openly acknowledging that and admitting that, and it takes away a lot of the mystique, I guess, that would have been around it. Where it's like, it's like a necessary process for you to do the decisional balance to get to the stage where changing is more attractive than staying the same. And then I think we talked about it in the last podcast, the whole idea of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. Oftentimes you need to reach a rock bottom to have that overwhelming sense of, okay, it is going to be more attractive to change than to stay the same. Because a lot of times you're in pre-contemplation because there isn't some incentive to change. Like, it's not, say, the health implications of smoking when you're a 20-year-old, they're abstract, they're vague, they're far down the line.
It doesn't feel now.
It's not now. Whereas the benefits you get of doing it now are you look cool and people think you're cool or whatever, which maybe was the case 20 years ago. But very, very interesting. How you have to go through that process. Yeah. You have to go through that decisional balance.
Love that.
And then it was talking about how a lot of changes, the vast majority of changes, are centered around a significant life event. Yeah. Whether that is a scary like medical diagnosis, whether that is an injury of sorts, whether that is you're let go from your job, whether that is a breakup, whether that is whatever. There's normally a significant life event that signals that rock bottom, that something needs to change, and the change is more attractive than staying the same. Yeah. But you have to get to that stage where the pros are one standard deviation higher and the cons are half standard deviation lower. How fascinating is that to like be able to systematize something that is so abstract? Crazy.
It's like that rock bottom experience rewires the association of what you're doing with now such a tumultuous experience that it's like you can't think about it without associating it with the negative feeling. And then that ups the pro to changing. Weird that you've brought this up. Last night Abby was over, my sister, for dinner. Don't know why it came up about my dad quitting smoking. He quit smoking in like 2008. I was 7. I don't know why that came up, and it's weird that you've brought this up today. Weird stuff like that in life. But we ended up talking about it a lot, and I love as we've gotten older, being able to like hear our mom and dad's stories more and really extract more from it and meaning and information. And so he said, and before hearing all this, I wasn't looking at it through this frame, but then we can very easily break it down. It's like my mom praises him for quitting so fast. It's like he went through those stages very quickly, and I guess he must have hit that rock bottom pretty sharply. Now, obviously, when they look back, what was probably a long time feels like a short time. I think once he actioned it, it happened very quickly. But he got to the point, so he's always been a barman, and until 2004, you were smoking in the pub. So he was inhaling the smoke as he walked around, and he was smoking while he was working. And then that stopped, so he would just like smoke in between. You're able to smoke on planes at a certain point, whatever. It got to the point that he was smoking, he said, at the worst, like 60 a day, like so 3 packs a day. People will go away and just like bring him home like 200, 600 smokes. So he'd have a press of smokes, and he has like, I think 3 cool standout experiences. I'd love to get a parent on and like talk about things. I don't mean to be hijacking his experience, but the likelihood of my dad being on this isn't probably not anytime soon. So a couple experiences. One, they were out in the hotel local to me for drinks with like a couple that they knew that were friends, and my mom was pissed after. My dad was like, "What?" And she was like, you were literally outside smoking the entire time, and I was left inside with the other partner that I didn't know that well, and I've had a shit night." And that one rock bottom. My dad was like, "Fucking, it's not worth causing with you, my love." 2 is he texted my mom asking her to get smokes, and he came home from work, say like 1 a.m, woke her up, was like, "Where's the smokes?" And she's like, "There's like 1,000 in the press downstairs." My dad had smoked them all. So like my mom, as far as she was concerned, there was literally stacks and stacks and stacks, and they were gone. And my dad was pissed because she didn't get them. But then he was like, "Wait, I got through 1,000." She was like, "That was like 2 weeks ago, or whatever." And then I think he had his first hip replacement, and the surgeon came in and was like, they're like kind of happy that went well, and he was like, "You lied though, because you told me you smoked X amount, but you took way too long to come out of the anesthetic, and that's because you smoked more than you told me." And my dad's like, "Wow, okay,
fuck,
this is not good." And then he said, so that must have upped the pros to changing a lot. He was aware. I asked him like, "Were you aware of the negative health implications?" And he was like, "Always, but just didn't feel anything." So that's
abstract.
That's the pre-contemplation. It was like, I'm aware, but like the smoking's way better. And then he got to contemplation through all of these things, and then it's like the preparation stage was like really shortened abruptly, and then he literally just like bam, and then I think because he started, Abby and I wrote him some like certificate, and I was like, we're so proud of you, and made him this trophy that said like best dad ever, and he said that it was literally that, and he just like he went out and got some nicotine yolk, and he said it was fucking disgusting. He only had it for a few days. It was gum, and he said it tasted like dirt after that. And every time he found it difficult, he'd come in here and look at the thing, and him and my man would be crying because it was so easy to change. Because us two young kids were just like such a supportive little thing. Jesus. I know, so cute.
That's
yeah. So well played, Dad. That's nice. Well done.
damn.
Yeah. It's 2 babies.
That's powerful.
Yeah. 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 I didn't expect to feel emotional there. I just felt it.
Yeah, that's allowed.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah. Recently, it feels like I've been talking to a bunch of people about their experience of being a parent. I'm not a parent. I'm not being a parent anytime soon. Bro.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Asking people, and I preface that I'm not like expecting or anything like that. So, but I've just been interested. I love like experiencing or hearing other people's experiences of parts of life that we just haven't had. Yeah. And I've asked a couple people for some reason. I think I was explaining the plot of Invincible to my parents, just because it's a good show, and it is at its core like a parental thing in the first season, and the humanity that having a son brought to the like Superman character. I asked another like this like elderly couple in a cafe about, because they said they moved 55 years ago to where we are, and I was like, wait, so you were like they got married when they were 21 and they moved 55 years ago at 21, so they're like, they've experienced so much more life. I was asking them about having kids, and then another person in the cafe, he's not that old, but his son had just had a baby, so he was now a granddad. And I was asking all of them, so I was asking like, how does that feel, because your child has had a child, so now it's like it is part of you. It's not just a newborn baby, it's like that's like an extension of your extension. I was asking these elderly people about their life and experience of having kids and grandkids, and then I was asking my parents, and it seems to be such a profound like, we say we go through chapters in life. It's more like we're going through chapter 1A, 1B, 1C, and chapter 2 is actually when you have kids. It's like it's an uncomparable sensation of love and maybe appreciation for love and your ability to love. It's something that I'd say we can't feel, and I don't know if fathom is the right word. We can't feel, we can appreciate.
You can hypothesize.
Yeah, we can hypothesize what it might feel like. Yeah. It's like it opens up the door for appreciating love in a
unconditional love,
in a way that like first you probably feel it for your partner, right? And that's why you have the kids, or at least an ideal sense. And then that it's like the love is an extension of your love for the partner, but this brand new being who is all yours, and their life is so dependent on how much you love them. Yeah, it's nice. So lovely.
Can't wait to have kids.
Yeah. That you know of, anyway.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
That was powerful. That was emotional.
Damn.
I was trying to hold it together.
Oh, really?
I was trying to hold it together.
Damn, man. Damn. I like tear up at movies and shit, 'cause I like feel everything they want me to feel, but I don't cry like that.
Yeah. That's because that's raw. That's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's as real as it gets.
Pretty
Yeah, I
cool.
cry at movies as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what used to make me cry? TikTok.
Yeah.
I used to cry at TikTok. So I was
dogs,
like,
man.
Yeah, like say a homecoming video. Someone is in the military and
they come home, the
kids, the dogs, the animals. Or like an animal is like injured or like fucking stray and like dying and someone rescues it, or sometimes even you know those videos where people like do something kind for like a homeless person?
Oh,
There's somewhere they just give them money, or there's somewhere like they completely revamp their life. Like they bring them for a haircut, and they like fucking pay for accommodation for them for a month, and they get them an interview for a job, and just turn someone's life around. And seeing someone else get emotional always makes me get emotional.
What is it? Why is that?
I think there's something in particular, and maybe I'm lying actually, because I think it actually extends to just anyone who's getting emotional. But I was gonna say, I think there's something about seeing like a guy get emotional. I think it's because it's like you're not meant to, like it's not as status quo to see it.
Feels less common.
Yeah.
It's obviously not, but because of what's like, portrayed. And maybe then you understand the intensity of the emotion if it's been expressed.
Yeah. But that's not even true, because if I saw anyone get emotional, like it would pull them. And then there's probably some like evolutionary reason for that, of meeting someone where they're at and empathizing and social connection. I think it's
the capacity to empathize and through your mind.
Yeah.
It's like you're able to feel what they're feeling. And it's like the level of appreciation and love, honestly. Yeah. That's love. I guess I'm just like pushing a load of positive experiences into one there.
Yeah. This is a situation, I don't think I've even talked about this ever, but this situation, I don't know why it stands out in my mind. My brother and his friend were, like, my brother used to skateboard and stuff. And there was a time where the friend was on the skateboard and the friend fell off the skateboard, and it looked like a bad fall. And he fell pretty rough. And I must have been like 7 or 8. And my brother was pissing himself laughing. And I was like, oh shit, like, is he okay? That looked like it was like a bad fall. Like, it looks like he's hurt. And then I was like, why is my brother laughing? And I'm like concerned. And I was like, is there something wrong with me? Like, should I be laughing? Why do I feel like particularly sensitive to the fact that he could be hurt? And that was something I like carried with me for a while, where I was like, am I too sensitive? Should I laugh in those situations? Is that what you do in those situations? And that might be like an autism thing or something, I don't know. But
what is that that you had to consider it?
No, that I like maybe rely on looking at other people in social situations of what is the socially acceptable behavior or response. And maybe that's just how everyone operates.
I think in that situation, it was like older brother. It was like these guys would be representative of what, or at least what you think.
Should be doing.
Yeah.
But that stuck with me for a while. I would consider myself to be a very empathetic person.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was an interesting one.
Yeah.
That capacity for empathy. Is that one of the things with like a psychopath, where they don't have the capacity for
Yes,
that?
I think it's psychopath that they don't feel it.
Yeah.
So are you even able to comprehend it? I think you can, because you're able to manipulate the fact that you know what they're going to feel, but you don't feel. So you like don't feel remorse. You're kind of like psychopathic. People who score high in psychopathy are more likely to give up a partner as well, like say like rat someone out as such. For like they don't mind about the consequences for other people. Like pretty much zero. I think it was a study, some sort of paradigm where they're like told a story, say, and it was like you can either walk free or something like this, or if neither of you say anything, that's what it is. If you and this other person committed a crime, and if neither of you say anything, you both guarantee you walk free. But if you say something, they go to jail. And psychopaths, like 10 out of 10 say, I go free. Whereas people who are low on psychopathy are more likely to say, I won't say anything.
50-50. Or that's like kind of those game shows where it's like, if you opt to take the money, you can get all of it. If both of you opt to take it, then you both get none. Or if you say split it, you both get to share it. Yeah, that's an interesting
because it's like
experiment.
It is interesting. It's obviously one very niche situation, but
what's the because I fucking know the difference, but why does it feel like I can't grab it at the moment? No, between sympathy and empathy.
Okay.
One of them is you feel the feelings.
I've argued with someone about this before. So it is like sympathy is something to do with like sorry for. S for sorry. And it's like I think Abby, when I was younger, sent me a video of someone explaining it, and it was like, let's say someone fell down a hole, and it's like, oh, I'm so sorry you fell down the hole.
And you're with them in the hole, essentially. Which one is the one where you're with them in the hole? Is that
empathy?
Okay.
It's like, I'm
feeling the feeling.
Whereas sorry is like, oh,
I'll get you a ladder though.
That's probably shit. Whereas empathy is like, this is definitely shit.
Empathy is being in the hole with the person. Sympathy is, oh, I feel sorry you're in the hole.
Yeah,
I can
but-
get you.
yeah.
I can help you. Kind of.
Yeah, it's like I can help you in like this objective sense. Whereas
Yeah, because I'm
empathizing-
removed enough
Yeah.
from the. Yeah, because I was listening to that in one of the Zig Ziglar things. It was about selling, like because he's a salesperson. That makes more sense to me now. Remember I was saying in the last podcast, he's just like a motivational speaker. He was originally a salesperson.
Okay.
So he was like selling insurance and
Gotcha.
fucking cookware.
Go on.
Anyway, he was talking about closing the sale, and as a salesperson, you need to be sympathetic for whatever the desires are of the customer,
Empathetic.
rather than empathetic.
Oh, okay.
Because if it's like,
Oh, if it's empathetic, you don't want.
yeah, you don't want to sell to them because you're like, I understand that
You could do without it.
yeah. Whereas sympathetic, you're like, I understand you're saying that you could do without it, but I'm removed enough from the perspective that I'm not in it with you, so I'm gonna provide you all the reasons that it's beneficial. No one's gonna understand. Do we cut that out or leave it in? Cut it out.
Yeah.
No, I'm not cutting it out. I'm leaving it in. Okay, and no one's gonna get it, so it's fine.
So give us.
Okay, no, let's just start that again. Okay, anyway, so on that note, that was very funny. We're going to have to cut some stuff out there. But if you enjoyed listening, please rate us 5 stars on Spotify.
Yep.
That always helps. Freaking algorithm and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Man, we have to cut that.